There are things of darkness and shadow that walk our world. They ever exist on that borderline between legend and reality, but sometimes they will cross over to encounter us. We must be ready for that engagement. We must stand strong and firm in our resolve to face the unknown and embrace the mystery. The time has come to go. Hunting the shadows. Good evening, everyone. Welcome and come on in. Let's gather in the grotto tonight and get your coffee, your drinks, or whatever. We're going to sit around and have some good conversation tonight, okay? This is episode 34 of Hunting the Shadows, and I am your humble host, Dennis Carroll. And I want to welcome you to the grotto tonight. We've got a full card ahead of us. Was dealing with a few technical problems at the beginning, but I think we're okay now. We're straightened out. I want to say hello to everyone out there, all the people out there in podcast land. I see our room starting to fill up here with the comments and all that. And want to say hello to you all. I really appreciate you being here tonight. We're going to have some. There's Ann. Yes, hello, Ann. We're going to have some interesting conversation going on tonight. Absolutely. By the way, I'm wearing my Midwest Night Watchers t-shirt tonight. Okay. And I want to give a shout out to my good friend, my brother Gerald, Midwest Night Watchers, and of course his lovely wife, Jane, Shiro. And I want to give a shout out to them. You need to check their show out. They have some great stuff going on. They have a live cam thing that they're doing. We're getting to see a lot of wildlife, and we're checking out the goats. I like goats. I don't know. There's just something about goats I like. I really like goats better than sheep, you know. But anyway, uh, goats can be kind of cool when they want to be. Actually, and when they're not eating everything, and they eat everything, man. Gotta watch out for goats. I always wanted a flock of goats, just that would take care of my grass or whatever. Then you got to watch out for goat droppings. Okay, but anyway, it's been an interesting week so far. We're halfway through it, and we've had some very strange and bizarre developments and a lot of things going on. I'm not going to get too deep into that tonight, but I do have a message for a silly old man out there. He knows who he is, and I got one thing to tell you, sir. If you turn against the people of Israel, the people of God, then you are an enemy of God. Don't ever forget that, okay? You silly old man. You better not throw Israel under the bus because you're going to you're going to open a can of worms you might not want to, okay? That's all I got to say about that. I didn't mention any names, and I'm not getting into politics tonight, okay? But that is the way that ball bounces, okay? Absolutely. Let me adjust a little bit here. There we go. I'm cutting my own head off. That's not good. All right, the Dragon Collective. Hello, sir, madam, or the case may be. We're going to have some interesting shows ahead of us. Now, tonight, we're talking about the Tatzel worm. Ever heard of it? Okay, the Tatzel worm, the dragon of the Alps. It's also called a Stalin worm. Okay, we're going to be talking about that. I got some pictures, really. And then we're also going to be talking about the possibility. We're not going to get too deep into that tonight because I'm saving that for a future show. But we're going to talk a little bit about time travelers. Okay, which is time travel is always a fascinating subject to me. I'm working on getting my good friend Barry Littleton in here with us one night, and that's why I definitely want to talk. I know he's interested in time travel, and I know my brother Gerald is as well. So I'm gonna definitely get Barry in here one night. We're gonna have to get on that subject. So that's why I'm gonna kind of save the grist of the subject for that. Who knows what else we'll get into? I'm gonna line him up very soon, and also I'm gonna be going after my good friend Jessica Jones. She's a busy lady, but I'm gonna try to get her in here. I want to do a show with her one night, and I'll tell you that will be one for the record books. Okay, that's gonna be a show to really watch out for because she and I we can get into some wild stuff. Absolutely, and also there are rumors in the air. There are rumors going around that I might be appearing on William Nighthawk's By the Fire this Friday night, talking about one of my favorite subjects and hopefully one of yours, vampires. Okay. So there's a rumor going around about that. We'll have to wait and see. That's going to be like, I think, 11 o'clock for Friday night, 11 o'clock p.m. So you might want to go to bed and maybe catch the replay on that. I'll have it on my playlist if we do that. Okay. Barry and Jessica Jones are good shows. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'll put some of your comments up here. And I'm trying to get better about putting the comments up, okay? And Long Island Bigfoot, all right. Good to have you here. All great people. Absolutely. I agree with you 100% on that. Please notify us. I absolutely will. I will be doing. I didn't get to do a lot of advertising this week so far, but I will definitely be doing some heavy ads on that one. Okay, on both of those. But I'm going to be lining those up shortly. I don't know if it'll be next weekend. She's kind of busy. She's got some stuff she's doing right now. I think she's got some conferences she's doing, but it'll probably not be next week. It'll be week after next, probably when I get everything lined up. But we'll see. I gotta get with everybody and get the schedules down, and we'll see how that goes. Buenas noches to you, Tinkerbell, and Overbuilt Automotive. Good to have you. So how's it, Gary Wayne book so far, sir? Oh, I've all knocked it out. Yeah, like I said, I think I did a review on that, but the it was a very good review. I mean, I liked it. We were almost 99% on everything that he said. I go along with some, but there's still a couple little things, but they're nothing big theological type things. But he was a very good writer. I enjoyed the book immensely, and recommend it to others. Absolutely, the Genesis Project, the Genesis 6 thing, a great book by Gary Wayne. I'm reading right now. I'm reading the Book of Vampires, which is I think written in 1887, if I'm not mistaken. Going way back. I like the older tones. Now this Friday night, I've got a really good show lined up for Friday night on Paranormal Point of View. You're all going to probably want to jot this down. You don't definitely want to miss this episode of Paranormal Point of View because I'm going to be talking about tales of witchcraft, and I'm also going to tell about my actual search for a vampire's grave that I did. I'm going to talk about, never talked about this before in public, okay? And so you're going to want to catch this one, absolutely. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be an interesting one. All right, let's see. Once you review that, look for the video. I'll send you the second book. Gary Wayne's out now. Oh, has he got a second one out already? He's very prolific, isn't he? Monica, I used to read Anne Rice trilogy. Yeah, Anne Rice. She when she wanted to be, she was very very good. I think she was a better writer than Stephen King in some ways. Stephen King, who I've read most of his work, gets too deep into characterization sometimes, and the story suffers for it. He has some great ideas, like the Silver Bullet, and some other ones. I won't get Salem's Lot. They're great stories. But he seems in these last years to have lost that a lot. I don't know what's going on with Stephen King. He never has been quite right, I don't think, after that accident. He was almost run over and killed. And I don't know if he's ever really got back 100% from that. But the good thing about Stephen King, he can burp and they'll offer him $1 million to write about it. But anyway, um, yeah, Anne Rice. I'm gonna tell you something about Anne Rice. Okay, what made her such a good writer? She immersed herself in that subject. She was fascinated by it, and sometimes writers have to be a little fascinated. Uh, to get the story across, but she was very immersed in it. She was very deep in it. But towards the end of her career, she got a little flaky. I remember when she first appeared on, I think it was Johnny Carson years ago. She was like maybe 300 pounds, and she was a real big lady, and she lost a lot of weight. But she kind of got Hollywood a little. She kind of went Hollywood a little bit. And then she got off in some very strange territory. If she'd have just stuck with the vampires, I think she'd have been better off in that respect. She's gone now. She's not with us any longer. But she lost a lot of weight. I have to give her that. She was very overweight, and she was a very determined woman, in that respect. Yeah, Stephen King was he almost was killed. He was walking on the side of the road. Somebody hit him with a car or something like that. I forget exactly how that went. Mom loves the Toxic Avenger. Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember the Toxic Avenger. Absolutely. Yeah, let's see. When she pass? Oh, she died a few years back. I think it's been about 3 or 4 years ago. I think that she passed. She even had a big house in New Orleans and had life size dolls in it, and I think she even supposedly had a coffin in one of the rooms. She was very deep into that stuff. She was very goth in many ways. That was about her. She was kind of a strange lady. I guess at least one driver didn't like his books. Yeah. He might have been a critic, John. Those critics will get you, man. I tell you what, yeah, absolutely. This is one of my high school English teachers. Okay, I've had a few like that too. Yeah, I can go on with that. I'm gonna put that up. Thank you for covering that territory there, Crystal. All right, I'll say hello to everybody. Ooh, it's filling up so fast I can't get to everybody tonight, but that's good. That's good though. I'm not complaining. I want to fill up fast. Yeah, let's get them in here. Absolutely. All right, name Millie. All right, name everybody. I'll be here the rest of the night. Won't I? But anyway, um, yeah, that was a great show Jessica had today. If any of you didn't get to see it, I would advise you to go watch it. She had Colleen Norris, the lady that was responsible for finding and putting public the very strange and interesting Dogman video in the grave, digging the grave up. It was Dogman in Ohio. They actually got some video of it digging the grave up, and they were these people in the car got some video of it, and we've been talking about that on Jessica's done about maybe 2 or 3 shows on that so far. I was on one of them. and we talked a lot about. I think that thing was on a mission of some sort. I think some. I just have a feeling that black magic in some way or another was connected with that. And certain aspects of black magic can call forth these creatures of darkness and have them do things for you sometimes. Uh, Everybody click the like button tonight to the tune of Wang Chung, Wang Chung. There you go. As you know. So anyway, the interesting thing about that is it seems very authentic looking to me. Like I say, I can't really vouch for it. I wasn't there. I always say that. If I'm there, I'll talk about it and really tell you my actual absolute opinion on it. But um, it looks authentic and the circumstances that surround it and all. Check out her show. Okay, it was on today. It was great. And Colleen Norris is a researcher based in Ohio. She looked like she knows her stuff. She's been in. Well, I think she's got like over 30 years experience. And like I said before, my friends, experience is the best teacher of all. You know. I thought it was Bigfoot. No, it looks like a dog man. It's not. It doesn't look like Bigfoot, Monica. Actually, it looks more like a dog man. Check it out. You can see it. I think Justice got pictures of it on the program. But it was digging up a grave. It was digging a grave up. I mean, it was doing its job. And I'm going to tell you this, you know this without a fact. We talked about this on our show. You cannot do that with your fingers. You would tear your fingers all to pieces. There's no way you could do that. That's why shovels were invented and hole diggers and spades and pickaxes. That's how you get dirt moved. This thing was digging, and I've seen dogs do that. I had a German Shepherd one time that could dig you a hole that you could bury somebody in very quickly. And animals can do that, but we can't. They don't have fingers. They have claws, and you can clearly see claws on this thing. Okay, it's not fingers. It's not a person. It's not a Bigfoot. This looks like a dog man to me. It's 6:30 downtown. Hello, person is for you. Thank you. But anyway, check it out. Great show. Great show. Very interesting show. And like I say, we're definitely going to be working on getting Jessica in here for a show one night. And I will be working on Barry as well. And I've got some other people I may be lining up. So you won't be so bored by me all the time, okay? But anyway, tonight, though, we're going to talk about a very strange cryptid. You don't hear very much about this cryptid, although it is well known overseas more so than it is here, and that's the Tatzel worm. That's spelled Tatzel, worm. But here, worm does not mean worm like you fish with. It means something very much like a giant snake or a dragon. That used to be the old medieval term for dragon was worm, and that was spelled W-U-R-M, by the way. So the thing about it is a interesting. I'm going to show you some pictures of it here in a few minutes. The tassel worm, but it's also called a Stalin worm. This thing is more or less like a dragon, and it supposedly lives in the Alps. And one photographer supposedly back at the turn of the century got a picture of it, but you can tell this is an obvious fake. Okay, I don't think I've got the picture downloaded, but I've got some representations of the tassel worm for you, and I'm fixing to put them up here for you and let you check them out. Hold on just a moment. Okay, this is the tassel worm, folks. Look at that thing, huh? It looks like it's got the head of a cat and the front claws of a cat, but the rest of it is like a giant serpent or dragon type thing. That's one representation of it. And here is another. And in this one, it supposedly has 4 legs and not just 2. In modern descriptions of the tassel worm, It said it has only two front legs by which it pulls itself, and the back of it is like a serpent, like a snake. But some representations of it show it having like this, four legs. If you see it standing up there, that's a good. But this is a very medieval representation of it. I kind of go along with this more so than the other one. I'll tell you why. Because that looks more like your typical dragon type thing, more so than the other. Okay. But here's an interesting little thing here too. This is in a village, a Bavarian village, and it has a fountain that is a Tatzel worm. Take a look at it. See now, and the fountain has only two legs, by the way. But that's what the Stalin worm or Tatzel worm actually looks like. But I like this representation best of all. It's a little bit more dramatic looking. That is a wild looking thing. That's what I think it probably may look like in some ways. And that's why it's called a worm, because these things, let me tell you this, the difference between the main dragon and the worm kind of thing is that the worm has only two legs, the dragon has four. But then it is also called the Dragon of the Alps. That's why I say it's a little bit confusing to go in, but that's some representations of it for you. The Tatzel worm. And this thing is like, is like over in Switzerland and places like that in the Alps, the Bavarian Alps and all that, in Germany and all that. This thing is sort of like the Bigfoot over there for those people, okay? They are really afraid of the Tatzel worm. And here's what the Tatzel worm can do to you. John says, I wonder if it looks like it flew air off and on the first thing during the eclipse several times since during captured web report. That's supposed to be an actual dragon, John. But that's supposedly some people have can. But no, the Stalin worm or the Tatzel worm does not fly, but it can move incredibly fast. It can be on you quicker than a crocodile or an alligator could. And alligators and crocodiles, you think they move slow, but they are incredibly fast too. I've seen them. I've seen them in action. Okay. And I found myself in the middle of an alligator slide one time, and that's not a good place to be. Alligator slide is where they come in and go out of the water, and you would not want to stay there long. I was armed, but I still didn't feel good about being there. Actually, it's like a cat snake. That's what you could call it if you wanted to give it that term, Crystal. Absolutely, you could call it a cat snake, but actually it looks kind of like the properties of a dragon a little bit to me, and that's why it's called the Alps of the Dragon. Now here, the Dragon of the Alps. Here's another thing about it. It can supposedly spit acid on you. It is supposed to be very poisonous, and can spit on acid and poison on you like a cobra can. Cobras can do that. Monica knows it demonic. I would not term it being demonic, but you have to wonder if this thing was not maybe brought about by some kind of dark witchcraft at one time or another, because this thing is not a natural animal, you might say, if you look at it that way. Although we call it cryptid, which means it's kind of still unknown if it really exists or not. But this thing is not a thing of nature. It doesn't look like to me. I've never seen anything in nature that looked like that, okay? There are certain monsters. This is a monster. That's basically what it is. Take it from an old monster hunter like me. This is a monster, okay? If you run into this thing, you would not want a Tatzel worm in your yard. You definitely wouldn't want it in your house. You wouldn't want to be within 50 feet of it, because supposedly this acidic poison can burn a hole through you in a hurry. So you would not want to hang around this guy, okay? And he's supposed to have very tough skin, and like arrows, knives, swords will not pierce it. And the only way he supposedly can kill this thing is to cut off his head, because his head is on the neck, sort of like, kangaroo-looking kind of thing. That's the only way you could really get this, is to decapitate it. Komodo dragons have a poisonous saliva. Yes, they do. A lot of reptiles, lizards, snakes, and all that have very poisonous saliva. That's part of their makeup. The poison, a lot of times, when it goes into the bloodstream, is what prepares that animal to be either eaten or devoured. It paralyzes them, stops their breathing. So your prey doesn't keep fighting you. And when it comes to serpents and some reptiles, they swallow their food whole. Snakes do that. Um, a mud puppy without a cat head. That's a good one. But you would not want to mess around with this guy. This guy would be very bad. Come fast down out of the heels on you. All of a sudden, you're in big trouble. Eat your horse or whatever it is you're on. You're in a bad situation without a doubt. The Tatzel worm. The Tatzel worm with a name like that sounds kind of happy, kind of go lucky guy, doesn't it? And this is a big monster, actually, a bad monster. So you would definitely want to watch out for the Tatzel worm. It mentions the fallen angels mixing with multiple creatures. That's true, Mike. I think a lot of these things may be the result of the Nephilim messing around with nature. See, the Nephilim wanted to destroy the creation of God, supposedly. And they did that by screwing around with weird hybridization, by, of course, having sex with human women. And I told you about that last week, that when human women had these babies, these monster babies, they didn't just have them in a usual birth cycle. These things tore out of these women like monsters would come out of. These things could kill their mothers when they came out. Okay, put it that way. This is a horrible thing to think about, but that's supposedly what happened. They were not happy, lucky, go jolly green giants. Okay, they were monsters, a race of monsters created by the fallen ones, and they didn't stop with humans. They did a lot of stuff with animals as well. They wanted to pervert and destroy. And a lot of people speculate this is where the dinosaurs may have actually also come from. And the dragons and stuff like that. They are perversions of nature, supposedly instigated by the work of the Nephilim, actually. Creation's just the flood. Yeah, a lot of this. I think they say that one of the reasons that God may have wanted to destroy the world with a flood was because of all this weird perversion of nature that was going on. It wasn't just man, but everything got screwed up. Okay, but because that was the influence, and it's happening again. Like I told you before, the Nephilim are still with us. Okay, they've never gone anywhere. Okay, and they're still at work on their plan to destroy God's creation and steal it from him, take it away from him, and pervert it because they are perverted. They're not perfect. Once upon a time, God created this whole universe and everything in it perfect. Because God is perfect, he creates perfection. Okay, that's what makes him God. But they came along and they, being imperfect, tried to take that away from God and do their job with it. They could only create imperfection. So they screw up things. And I have seen the demonic do that on occasion when they try to look like something. Like I said, if a demon appeared looking like me, trying to pass themselves off to be me, there would be something wrong. Like maybe one eye would be further down or something. There would be something a little off. It's never perfect. That's how you tell that you're dealing with something like that, okay? Only God creates perfection. That's it. That's what makes him God. That nasty snakehead fish, yeah. They're a bother too. The revelation appears to be literal, almost always would have expected to be more metaphorical. Well, sometimes what we take as metaphorical can be right in your face kind of a thing and not metaphorical. Sometimes what we think is metaphorical is not. And sometimes it can be both ways. It can be metaphorical and it can also mean, it can have a double meaning like to it. in that way. Sort of like I said about the very famous uh, two-edged knife. It cuts both ways. Okay. Some things in this world do that. Some things can have double meaning and still mean the same thing. There's a lot of perversions rising, and like I said, towards the end of days, and you're seeing this, nature will turn against us. Very nature itself is corrupted, and nature will turn against us because we are the supreme creation of God. That's why they hate us so much, and these forces will turn nature against us. You're going to see longer lasting and worse storms as time goes on. You're going to see volcanic eruptions. You're going to see earthquakes like there have never been before. You're going to see nature, birds. Well, there's a very famous saying, and I think it's in the book of Revelation, where God tells all the birds of the air to gather for the feast. They will feast on the flesh of humanity. In the battle, on the on the ground, the battlefield, the last field of battle, the last war. That's what their job's going to be. The birds will feast on us. Okay, go back and look at it. Look how many times nature turns against us. That's what's going to happen, without a doubt. You need to keep that in mind. And watch out for the Tatzel worm next time you're outside. Of course, if you're in the Alps, definitely watch out for them. I don't think they're around here anywhere. I hope not. But what strikes me as very strange that the Tatzel worm is very much like the Mongolian death worm, which is another one of my favorites, by the way. It spits acid too, by the way. And yes, it's fire. It can get the Tatzel worm, along with the Mongolian death worm, they're supposed to have electricity like in them, like a fire that goes through them that makes them very dangerous. They're very much alike in that respect. Our solar system is experiencing extreme weather. They're saying Michelangelo painted God showing his behind of Moses. I don't know about that. I'll have to check that out. You cannot look on God, and you cannot look on God and live. That's why Moses seen God's backside. God just turned his back to him and went by. So that, because if you look on the face of God, you would not live. And that turned Moses solid white. He was glowing when he come off of that mountain. And on the Mount of Transfiguration, when Jesus went to meet Moses and Elijah, he came back looking like that. That was in the great presence, the holiness of God. Will do that to you. It will turn you that white. It will turn you snow white. Peter and Jude quoted from the book of Enoch. Check out the Ethiopian Bible. But it's not just the Ethiopian Bible. You can go back to the Geneva Bible as well. It has a lot of those books that were taken out. You can find those Bibles that have the Apocrypha that's still in there. They're very interesting books. Some of them you have to really kind of take with a grain of salt, because here's the thing about it, okay? Let me say this about the Apocrypha. A lot of that is grounded, not all of it, but I'm saying a good deal of it is grounded in Jewish folklore, Hebrewic folklore. Okay, so you got to be very careful what you're looking at and what you assimilate in that, okay? That's why I said many times, you need the Holy Spirit to guide you in these things, okay? Because you got to be very careful. That's why a lot of these books were left out of the Bible, because they have so much folklore in them. And sometimes folklore can be misleading if you're not careful in how you look at it. But there are people are perverting it and saying it is shows bum. No, that's just Monica. Let me tell you this, Monica. Okay, there's a war on Christianity. You've seen the things. I got one picture of it somewhere, where the guy come in a black church the other day and pulled a gun and was going to kill a pastor, and the gun misfired, by the way. And he said the voices told me to come in and kill him. This man was demon possessed, okay, supposedly under demonic influence. Look at Bishop Maury that has his eye put out. He's not going to be able to see with that eye anymore. He got stabbed on the pulpit by somebody from a cult, okay? The whole thing in the matter, there is a war going on in Christianity, and there are agents of darkness out there trying to discredit everything having to do with Jesus, God, the Bible. They are working overtime. The enemy is trying. The kingdom of darkness is trying to discredit and tear down the kingdom of light. Okay, we gotta realize that what's going on, and we've got to be very careful with what we see and watch and listen to and believe. We need that spirit of discernment. Pray and ask God to give you the spirit of discernment. Okay, He will, so that you can understand what's really going on and some of this stuff. But don't believe everything you hear. These people are out to destroy other people's faith. They are enemies of truth and faith. Don't forget that. They're enemies of the light, the truth, and the faith. That's what they are. Another thing, what you have to kiss the devil? That's called the devil's kiss, John, by the way. Yeah. I know there's a big war. Yeah, absolutely. And so that's what you're seeing. See, every time you turn around, and there are a lot of things. I've noticed this with a lot of news media and all that. They are actively trying to discredit the Bible. They're trying to discredit Christians. They're trying to make us out to be a whole bunch of superstitious idiots that believe a fairy tale and all this other stuff. That's what they're trying to paint us. This is an active attack against us. All of us, the people that believe these things, okay? And that includes you too, if you're a believer. They're out to attack you as well. Yeah, the devil's kiss. Yeah, wizard moon. Yeah, it's not a good thing. You would not want a devil's kiss. So. And why Moses didn't get radiation, pours red wine, drinking every day, red wine, radiation. Well, this is a holy radiation, and it's not a nuclear radiation, my friend. There's a big difference in that. A spiritual radiation, you might say. Let's see. Canada's had a rash of church houses. Oh yeah, they are attacking churches. You're gonna see this happen more and more and more and more. And if they know that you are a person of faith, they're going to attack you. Be ready for it. You know, I've said that before many times in the past, and I'll say it again. Get ready. Get yourself ready, because they're gonna notice you one day. Okay, they're gonna come against you for your faith. Be ready. Be ready. Don't be caught unawares, because it's happening and it's going to increase. It's not going to decrease. It's going to increase more and more and more as time goes on. From the ark, that's my mother's dingy from the ark. But this is a holy kind of a radiation, a spiritual radiation. It may not have that effect, although it may turn you white. It takes, I think it's in the face of pure perfection that happens to you. I'm not going to get deep into that tonight, but there's a spiritual thing. It's like the burning bush that Moses encountered. The bush that burned, but did not burn up. It did not consume. It was a spiritual energy thing going on there, okay? It was a spiritual fire. Spiritual fire does not burn you up. Or it didn't burn the bush up anyway. You have any ideology and belief that puts division between you and your fellow humans, quote, quote. That's true too. They want to divide you up. They want to divide you up and put you in your little pigeonholes, because they can say, look, there we've got Wizard Moon right where we want him, or we got the Dragon Elective right where we want him, we've got Uma right where we want him, or we've got John right where we want him, and all that. That's what they want to do. They want to pigeonhole you. Okay. Hello, Jessica. Good evening, dear. Glad to have you here. I was just recommending everyone watch your show today with Colleen Norris. Great show. And it goes a little bit deeper into some of that thing that we were talking about the other day on that strange incident in Ohio. I've been in Ohio. It's a nice place. Ohio has a lot of wood, definitely a lot of woody places. A lot of cryptids, cryptid country. Absolutely. Renaissance art depicts all the holy people with a glow. Yeah, that's where you get the halo thing at. Yeah. I've been doing spiritual warfare for 4 years. I don't need to have to deal with a crazy human that had nothing. Yeah, well, that's the way it goes. You know what I've often said about the demonic, my friends, okay? You know, the four different ways that it will attack you. Get ready for that, because when it ramps up the physical, first of all, it does you spiritually, mind, mentally, and emotionally. But then when that goes by, then it starts on you physically. Okay? Be ready for that. Okay? That's why all good monster hunters carry guns with them when they go in the woods. We don't know what we're going to face, but we're ready for it, hopefully, if we can. We want to be ready for whatever the situation is, you know. We don't talk about it, but we go with sidearms all the time whenever we go in the woods. It would be a foolish thing to not to do that, you understand? Always have that with you, because you never know what you're going to face. And as an ex-policeman, I can tell you all that. You need to start thinking about definitely always having a sidearm or some means of protection on you, whatever that may be. You don't need to go out there unarmed, okay? Do not do that. It seems there are cryptids everywhere these days. They're getting bolder. I think there's a reason for that. I think some of this stuff, I'm going to say this, okay? I know that a lot of people will disagree with me on it, but I think some of these cryptids are being called forth from the darkness for a reason and by certain individuals. I'm not going to go into that tonight. I'm going to talk about some of that Friday night when I do Tales of Witchcraft Friday night. Okay, you want to catch that, Jessica, and all the rest of you. Friday night, I'm going to get deep into some witchcraft, sorcery, and necromancy here. Okay, I got some Tales of Witchcraft for you, but I think some of these things are being called forth from the darkness. They are creatures of darkness that are being called forth. I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying sometimes that may be the situation, you know. Absolutely. I have been close to Dogman. I've been this close to him, very close. I've seen Bigfoot. I know they exist. I know they're out there. Okay. I just know that without doubt that they are out there. The evidence that I've seen with my own eyes leads me to that conclusion. I even know that the phantom black cats are out there because I have seen their tracks. And forest officials will tell you, "Oh no, they aren't there." And I said, "They're not out there. They're not. There's no such thing as a black mountain lion. There's nothing like that." But I disagree with them. I think they're just repeating what the government tells them to repeat. And like I mentioned today on Jessica's show, there have been many times when the government has actually interfered with my cryptid investigations. I'm talking about out in the field. It happens. And I'm going to tell you this. If you do enough cryptid investigations, sooner or later, you're going to run into that factor. You're going to run into government interference. Don't think without a doubt you won't. Matter of fact, Jessica had a little interference on her show today. It happens every time. It's just too much of a coincidence, and I don't believe in coincidences anymore. There's a reason for a lot of this stuff going on, and it's called harassment, by the way. That's what it is. You see this going on more and more as time goes on. Yeah, the Black Panther sightings. Yeah, I've investigated those. I think I actually saw one, but I couldn't see it clearly. It was in very high grass, broom straw, as we call it here in the South. It was in very high broom, and it was moving through there, and I couldn't get a good look at it, and I can't tell you for sure that's exactly what it was, but I saw its tracks. They were this big. Tell me what cat has tracks that big, okay? I mean, come on. They're out there. And too many people have seen them. I've had too many people come to me and say they've seen them. But forest rangers will tell you, "Oh, no, there ain't no such thing." But like I said, they're just repeating what they're told to tell you. It's a cover-up. Jessica knows that. We all know that. Sooner the more you stay in this business, the more you realize, hey, there's all kind of cover-ups going on here. Why? Why are they covering stuff up? That's the question. There's something going on they don't want us to know about. That's why. Okay, without a doubt. Absolutely. There are 640 million acres of federal land. There are millions of state land and all body encroachment arguments for more interaction sightings. Absolutely. Absolutely. Big cats are perfectly natural, though such a weird one to cover so hard. Well, it doesn't fit their narrative a lot of times. Okay, if it doesn't fit their narrative, they're not going to do it. They're not going to go with it. But that's like I have taught. Let me tell you this. I've been on like take for instance Fort Sumter. I was out at Fort Sumter off the coast of South Carolina one day. I've been out there several times, and I tried to talk to the rangers out there. The federal rangers. I said, tell me about this. What goes on out here, supernatural, paranormal. I said, oh, we can't talk about that. We're not allowed to talk about that. Now they'll tell you that, right? We are not allowed to talk about that. Okay, they could lose their jobs. And this like that book I tell you, and I was going to talk about tonight, but I will talk some more about it Friday. The Ghost of Flight 401, one of the best books. Let me see if I can pull that up for you. That's one if I got a picture of it. That is one of the best paranormal cases around. If you've never read this book, you need to get it. Okay. You can still find it. It's by John G. Fuller, The Ghost of Flight 401. Very famous ghost story, okay? This actually happened on commercial jetliners back in the 70s, okay? They even made a movie about this. And you see this stuff going on. They covered that up to the high heavens. To this day, they won't even admit they had this kind of stuff going on their commercial jetliners. You need to try to track down that book and find it, okay, my friends? It will be the best book you've ever read, okay? It is one of the best books on the paranormal you'll ever read. The Ghost of Flight 401. Fascinating story. Fascinating. But this happened on jet age commercial jetliners. Okay? Wild stuff. But they used the plane parts from crashed plane, and that's why supposedly the ghost showed up on them. But check it out. Let's see, you gotta find a retired ranger. Maybe, yeah, if you can find a good one. They make a lot of these federal employees sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. Oh, yeah. The Ghost of Flight 401, fantastic stuff. I think you can still find the book and get it on Amazon. I'm sure it's available on Kindle as well. You talking about this, it's I'm going to give you the creeps real quick. This is a wild paranormal story. Check it out. The Ghost of Flight 401. They made a movie about it, but the movie is extremely rare. I have a copy of the movie. It's extremely rare. The movie does not do the book justice, though. The book is fascinating. What's it about? Well, let me give you a quick synopsis on it. I think this was in 71 or 72. His plane crashed in the Everglades due to pilot error, you might say. And some people survived the crash, so very few, though. And I think a couple of stewardesses did. But the flight crew got killed, I think. The captain, the co-pilot, and the navigator and all that. They were killed. And I can't remember, it was a TWA or somebody like that, the company. Actually, there was some salvageable parts on this plane, and they took these parts and put them on other planes in their fleet. And when they did that, people began, especially stewardesses and passengers, began seeing the ghosts of these dead crew members on these planes, wherever these parts were, like the oven. They seen one image in an oven door, and The movie is great. If you could ever get a hold of the movie, The Ghost of Flight 401. But like I say, it's extremely rare. Starred Ernest Borgnine, by the way, did an excellent job in it. And it's got Kim Basinger in it, too, by the way. Good old Georgia girl, Kim Basinger. Um, Great movie, great movie. It was a made-for-TV movie. That's why it's kind of hard to find. It might be on Tubi. I don't know. I have to check and see. If it is, I'll let you know. But it's a great movie. But the book is fantastic, and the eyewitness accounts and all that. But the airliners kept threatening the pilots. If you say anything, we'll fire you immediately. They couldn't even talk about it and all that. And this guy, John Fuller, he actually talked to these people and got there. He had to keep them anonymous because it would have cost them their jobs and everything else. Great, great story. You need to check it out. Ernest Borgnine, yeah, he was a great actor. Remember him in Escape from New York? He was the cab driver. The jetliners still have ovens. Oh yeah, the jetliners still have. But they would use in different parts that were salvaged, and the salvaged parts ended up on these different planes. I forget exactly what kind of a plane it was. It's all in the book. I mean, the book's about that too. But man, I'm talking about this guy did a thorough investigation on it. He even ended up marrying one of the stewardesses that reported seeing these ghosts, by the way, in real life. He's a great author on this. It's the only thing he ever really did, I think. But it's great book. Great books. Check it out. You have Tubi? Okay. Well, I'll check and see if Tubi's got it. The Ghost of Flight 401. And it's not just one ghost. It may be an S. There's more than one ghost. But that Ed and Lorraine Warren even investigated this a little bit on this thing. I met Lorraine Warren one time years ago. But anyway, they even investigated some of this and had even parts of the wreckage in their museum. I would love to have a part from this plane because it's very famous paranormal thing. But they said that even with the parts that they had in their museum, these ghosts appeared. And what it was all tied into not a malfunction of the plane, but pilot error. And they sort of feel like the pilots may have said, we're the blame for this happening. And, and they're sort of attached spiritually to these things or something. There's a lot of conjecture on it, but like I say, it's worth checking out. You will find it to be one of the most fascinating paranormal stories you've ever gotten into. The Ghost of Flight 401. And I was on Freevee too. Oh, that's good. Yeah, Freevee's got some good stuff on it. I'll have to check. I'll check tonight, Monica. And if I do find it, I will send you a message and let you know. Okay. I would love to have met the Warrens. Oh yeah, well she was real nice. I wanted to meet Ed. Ed was my favorite. Ed was sort of like me. Me and him were kind of, very much alike. I think we had a lot in common. Lorraine was real nice. She'll talk your head off. She would talk your head off. That woman could talk. And but she kind of flaky in a way. I don't know. I just liked him better. I don't know. She had some funny ways about her, but I'm not talking about the dead. They're both gone now. But I think I would have liked him better, but I don't know. She was real nice, though. She was real sweet, very down to earth. I felt like I studied under the Warrens because for many years they were the only ones talking about demonology and paranormal and all that stuff. And so I learned a lot from them. And Hans Holzer was one of them. Now, Hans Holzer, I'll tell you about him. Hans Holzer, I liked him. He was a very good ghost hunter. Okay, he was one of the top of the line. But he got a little flaky there at the end of his going off with witches and doing stuff. I don't know. He kind of went off the deep end with it. I don't know. But for his time, Hans Holzer was one of the best. Daughter and her husband carrying on. I don't know. I have no idea. John Zaffis is Ed Warren's nephew. John Zaffis. I've talked with him, but I never met him. I talked to him over email. He's real nice. He was not at the beginning. He was not as dedicated as Ed Warren was. He had taught him everything he knows. I think Ed was actually killed by the paranormal in a way. He had a heart attack that was brought on by the paranormal spiritual attack, and that might have had a lot to do with that. It's a very sad story. Biometric and vibration independent objects to be replayed when the atmosphere is right to trigger the replay. That can happen many times. Yeah, objects can have a patina of the supernatural or the paranormal about them. Sometimes you have to be very careful what you bring in your house. I can't type tonight. That's okay. It's been a long week. Yeah. Sometimes by the middle of the week, you can't even see straight, much less type. Okay. Caesar says Ghost of 549 is on YouTube. Oh, okay. The Ghost of 541, Monica, is on YouTube. Okay, check it out. Yeah, it's a pretty good movie. But like I say, you get more out of the book. But it's a fascinating story. I tell you how I come upon it one time. I was sitting in a doctor's office, a dentist office, and I happened to see this review in a magazine about this book, this new book that came out. And I said, oh, God, I started reading about it, so I got to find this book. And so I did. I have several copies of it around here somewhere. It is a fascinating study, absolutely. Aura on some objects are strong. Definitely Midwest, without doubt. Some objects definitely can be cursed. They can have a curse attached to them. Bad juju, you know. I have seen items like that. And I have one here that, I might have mentioned that the other night about the gun that I have that was a murder weapon. I have a murder weapon here that killed somebody. I won't get deep into that story tonight. That's for another interesting case I'll have to talk about one night. But I have that object here. It was definitely a cursed item. It was. It is no longer a cursed item, okay? Because you got to remember, you're dealing with an inanimate object. It has no feelings or emotions, okay, like we do. You can't possess it. It cannot be possessed, but it can be influenced. But that influence can be removed, okay, without a doubt. Objects can have attachments. You can take care of those attachments, though. Okay. You will find it a fascinating movie. It's a great movie. And they do what I call a soul rescue at the end of the movie. Great movie, by the way. But Kim Basinger, that's before she became real famous. Kim Basinger is one of the stewardesses. And there's a couple of other old TV stars you may recognize in it. But it's a good movie. And I never will forget, I watched that one night, the last time it was on TV. They actually had a showing of Unsolved Mysteries, which used to be one of my favorite programs, too, to watch Unsolved Mysteries. Of course, I like the supernatural stuff on the Unsolved Mysteries. And sounds like the story Red Rose loved that movie, went to read the book, and the whale house was possessed. So, yeah, the Red Rose, yeah. Rose Red. Most objects don't have much of a signature. They carry only what's been put in them. I read somewhere a key ring once. There was a crash scribbled in neon on the car key. The house key was invisible. Well, you know what? Let me tell you this right quick, okay? Did you know when you make something, let's just say I made this knife, this letter opener here, okay? It's made of obsidian stone. Let's say I made that. I put a lot of my spirit and my time and my talent into making that. It's got some of me in it, okay? That's the way some of this stuff rolls. And if you have making this with bad intentions, it can become a cursed item because of that. But you can also cast spells on them to make them cursed items, or they could be used to murder someone. It sort of becomes spiritually stained, and that way it becomes a cursed item. So there are different ways for things to become cursed. Okay, but that what you're dealing with, you got to know how to handle it. That's right, Pop Culture Express on YouTube, Flight 401. Okay, there you go, Juno. Thank you. Mr. Hyde's Pop Culture. Let me put that up. You might want to write that down, Monica. All right, my mom always watched that show. Oh, okay. Oh, Unsolved Mysteries, yeah. Anyway, I was watching Unsolved Mysteries. It has a very famous case of Resurrection Mary. I guess you've all heard of her, Resurrection Mary, a Resurrection Cemetery in Chicago. I've always wanted to go check that out, by the way. And Resurrection Mary is supposed to still be walking around. Yeah, she has no face and all that. But there was a great story on Unsolved Mysteries about that. They did a real good take on that and did a recreation of it. Boy, you talking about freaking. It was good. Resurrection Mary is a very famous ghost story in Chicago. We have not heard of Resurrection Mary. Okay, Resurrection Mary was a girl named Mary Begonia, or something like that was her name. She was Italian, I think, in the Italian section of Chicago. And she supposedly was killed in an automobile accident on her way to a party or something like that. And so she keeps coming back and getting rides from people saying she has to go to somewhere or so on there. But anyway, she supposedly met this guy named Jerry something one night at a dance hall, and she danced with him. He kind of got to liking this gal, and he said, "Can I take you home? I'll call a cab. I'll take you home." She said, "Okay, I just live, down the street." And so when he got down the street with her in the cab, she said, "Stop here," and he stopped in front of Resurrection Cemetery, and she got out and thanked him for the wonderful evening and went to the cemetery gates and disappeared. And he went to supposedly found he had his coat on her, I think, or something like that. And he found his coat the next day hanging on her tombstone in the cemetery. Classic white lady. We went there to find her back in the high school. Oh yeah, Resurrection Mary. Yeah. I don't know if his name was truly really. If they're going to find out her name was really Mary, it might have been something else. But anyway, they supposedly know where her grave is. I investigated one very similar to that in the town where I live in. I call them the cemetery ladies. You seem to have that story going around in a lot of different cemeteries. I seen that it was trippy, yeah. I like that where they were going down the road and they passed her walking on the side of the road and they look back and she's got no face. And the guy says, "I'm gonna turn around," and his wife says, "You better not turn around and go back." She didn't want to mess with it. Thought to me that precious kids in his eye and unknown spirit must watch. Well, I mentioned that the other night, the midnight game and the midnight man and all that stuff. You do not want to mess with that stuff. Even Bloody Mary. These are rituals. You don't want to engage in doing that stuff. You're calling up something. They're rituals. These may be called games, but they're very far from being games. They are demon raising rituals, and you don't want to mess with that. Remember the midnight game, you have to have a candle, matches, a pen, a piece of paper, and a drop of your blood. That should be a red flag right there. A drop of your blood, okay? All these things require blood, supposedly. Bloody Mary's the same way. You're scrying. You're using a mirror in a dark room with a candle, and you're actually doing a ritual, whether you realize it or not. And these are we call them raising rituals. They raise demons. They call them forth. You don't want to mess with that stuff. The coat is a unique twist among many similar stories. Yeah, to find the coat hanging on there and all that. There's a very famous ghost story about that. And there's even a song that's called Bringing Mary Home, where the guy picks her up on the side of the road and she says, I got to get home. He takes her to the house. He gets out and opens the door, let her out, and the car's empty. And he goes to the door and he knocks. And a woman comes to the door and he says, ma'am, said, I brought a girl named Mary here and I can't find her. And the woman says, well, that's my daughter. She died 13 years ago tonight in a wreck just down the road, and she keeps coming to try to come back home. You're the 13th one that's been here bringing Mary home. A great ghost story. Energy and energy potential. Keeper of the flame. Midwest. Keeper of the flame. Grandmaster G. A YouTube channel of that movie. Good. All right. Well, check it out when you get a chance. You'll watch it tonight. It's about 90 minutes long. Probably won't be that long without commercials. How would you feel being the mom? Yeah, that's bad, you know. Your dead daughter keeps trying to come back home and never makes it. That's a bad situation. I had an incident, a case like that. I mentioned that, I think, one time before about the farmer that died out in his field. They kept seeing him trying to get back home and he could never make it. I did a soul rescue on him to kind of tell him to go on where he needed to go and quit trying to go back home because it was all over. Seemed that was his last act. He died trapped up under his tractor that had overturned, and he died trying to get out to go back home. Home was just over the hill, and he never made it. But he still kept trying. And his granddaughter saw him, and she never had seen him before. He died before she was born, and she described him perfectly. And she had never seen a picture or anything of him. It was a good, interesting case. Would you ever feel able to move if it was your lost child? I don't think I would, if knowing that she was still trying to get back to my house. I won't stay there, cause hoping that maybe one day she'd make it back. It's like a lot of these hauntings are like they're caught in a time warp. This Groundhog Day thing, it's day after day, same thing for them. They're like caught in a time warp. That's what residual hauntings are. They're a film being played over and over. And a lot of times you hear about this in haunted houses where someone's been murdered. They keep reenacting the murder over and over and over and over again. It's like they're trapped in their own special kind of hell or their own time warp of hell. That's a bad thing to think about, to be caught in something like that. I would want to try to get somebody out of that. But anyway, that's an interesting ghost story. I can't remember who it was that sung that as a song. But I remember it ended, how'd it go? At the very end, it said, and the lady smiled and brushed a tear away. She said, it sure was nice of you to go out of your way. But 13 years ago tonight, in a wreck just down the road, our darling Mary lost her life, and we still miss her so. So thank you for your trouble and the kindness you have shown. You're the 13th one who's been here, bringing Mary home. 2 months before my wife died, I saw a solid veiled lady in black, very solid. I moved out of her way, North Carolina. She's famous in that. Oh, yeah, a lot of those are seen. Edna Rand Warren talked about one that's seen in a cemetery in Connecticut called the White Lady. And people have actually have hit her crossing the road in front of the cemetery with their car. And they would get out, thinking that they'd run over somebody, could never find anybody. They hit her. And one of them said that she actually passed through the car. And they felt coldness come through the car and go out when they actually hit her with a car. Wild, freaky stuff. I didn't know there was a poem. Yeah, it's a song or a poem. Yeah, same thing. The repeated hauntings, the residual of an imprint rather than intelligence. It's better to view them like that. Like I say, it's like a film going over and over and over and over again. Time warp. I hope that they're not sentient. I hope it's just being played over and over and they're not feeling the same things. Oh no, that would be a special kind of hell, would it not? Well, I'll have to do the whole poem for you one night, John, on here. Bringing Mary home. It's a good story, spooky story. Be great for Halloween, by the way. Well, this one that's been all over the country, very much like the Crybaby Bridge thing. You have a lot of those bridges all over the place. You've got the ghostly hitchhiker. That's what she's called mainly, the ghostly hitchhiker. And people pick her up, trying to take her home, but they never get there with her. Uh, okay, I'll do that for you one night, definitely. I'll have to do some Shakespeare for you one night too. Yeah. That's my crystal skull. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than I dreamt of in your philosophy. There you go, buddy. Indiana Jones is looking for that, by the way. But that's another story. Yeah, helped her soul rescue. Yeah, that would be good. But she never seems to stick around long enough for that to get done. But that depends. It depends on what circumstances. But I would definitely try that if I ran into her. There's a way to prevent ghosts from appearing. Supposedly, if you have a cat hanging around your house, that keeps ghosts away. Salt is very iron is supposed to keep ghosts away. There used to be I don't know if you've ever heard this or not, but there used to be an old folk remedy to keep ghosts out of your house. Is that we take an iron, a 10-penny iron nail, an iron nail, a big nail, 10-penny nail, and drive one in the ground at each corner of the house outside. That will supposedly keep ghosts away. Iron. Little case memento. No, afraid not. It's just a paperweight on the desk here. I don't know where I got that at years ago somewhere. I don't know. But it's not Aztec, unfortunately. I wish it were. But I named him Henry, by the way. Might be Henry Jekyll. You never know. Mary hasn't picked someone very spiritually aware. Yeah, I would think she was not ready and has avoided doing so. Probably not. Playing dogwood's supposed to prevent spirits as well. Oh, yeah, and paint your porch blue. In the South, we believe in blue porches. They keep haints away. That's haints, as we call them in the South. That's another name for ghosts. As is camphor mothballs in the corners of the house. That'd keep me away, actually. Whew. Mothballs are terrible. They're deadly stuff, man. Haint blue, yep. That comes from the Gullah people. Blue is supposed to be a very magical color. The Celtics, the ancient Picts, and the Celts used to paint themselves blue, and they had blue tattoos on them because they felt blue is the color of heaven. It's sort of the mystical, cosmic color, you know. Dew lasers won't burn blue roofs like in Hawaii. Oh yeah, they say blue reflects. That's an interesting thought. Yes, I'll talk a little bit about time travelers tonight. There are a lot of speculation going on. That I was going to mention this to all of you, that our timeline is being subtly changed. Things are being changed in books, movies, and all this stuff. And a lot of people are saying that this is either the Mandela effect or something really is going on. They say that some parts of history are being changed, things around us are being changed. So I was just going to mention that to all of you, that you might want to keep your eyes open and note if there's any kind of change going on, things being changed that have no rhyme or reason to them. I've got a lot of examples, but I'm not going to go into that tonight. But there is a theory that maybe people from the future are messing around. Somebody's messing around with our timeline, and things are being changed that we don't know about. It is an interesting theory, and I wonder how relative it might be. But we will talk about that in the future. That like the penny sandwich bag, water hanging. Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you something about the water in a plastic bag. You hang outside your front and your back door. If you hang a little bag with water, just regular water, it's supposed to keep mosquitoes and flies out of your house for some reason. I tried it and it does seem to work. We'll be in that time warp. I couldn't imagine. It's like the penny. Yeah. I don't know about the penny in a sandwich bag, but I did have a sandwich bag with just plain water, and you hang it by the door, front or back, whatever door you come in the most. You hang it by the door outside, not on the inside, on the outside of the door, and it's supposed to keep flies and mosquitoes out of your house. The Bernstein changed to Bernstein, yeah. In the early 80s, got a huge fight with my brother over his kids. Yeah, the Bernstein Bears. A little bit of holy water. I have to get more. Well, yeah, that's good. You know, it's good, Monica, by the way, to keep holy water out at the door. That keeps things from coming in your house. That's a good idea. Actually, or I tell you, another remedy is you could find at this time of the year. It's they used to believe big time in this. Mistletoe over your door will keep evil spirits out. I actually have mistletoe over both of my doors, my outside doors. I keep them there year round. Okay, it will dry eventually, but it will still stay there. Doesn't matter whether it's dried or not. Mistletoe supposedly keeps the bad haints out. Ghosts and witches, fairies, and all that, demons and all that stuff in the 1980s. But they say there may be some other things going on that our history is being changed. Subtle, just subtle little things are being changed, and we need to keep an eye open for that if that's what really is going on. Are there certain agents of time travelers, agents walking around with us? Are there some weird stuff going on? I think some of these UFOs could possibly be crafts from the future, far flung future. We do know this for a fact. The further into the future you go, the more increase in the possibility of time travel occurs. There you go. The Bernstein Bears, the Bernstein Bears. I always hear them as the Bernstein Bears. Now it's the Bernstein or something or whatever. However, I guess that's like they were. Now you used to hear this too. Remember, you hear about the Philistines, and now they call them Philistines. But it's always all I've ever heard in my lifetime. They were called the Philistines. Like, you know, the Philistines are upon you, Samson. Remember the story of Samson and the Philistines and Delilah? Now they're called Philistines. Go figure. If I see it, they see a giant fly and turn tail. I don't know. That might be what it is. I don't know about the mosquitoes. I hate mosquitoes, little blood-sucking vampires. I hate them things. Flies are nothing but maggots from dead things that sprout wings and fly around and get on your food so they can lay eggs in it. Maggot eggs. I wonder how many maggot eggs we've eaten in our lifetime. I'm dying in the 80s too. I had no idea who he was. My brother ran in and announced he just heard on it and that's when he died in prison. No idea who he was, but I said, yeah, I remember that. I had that same weird thing. That's the Mandela effect. That's why it's called that. I know the lady that coined that phrase by the way. I used to be on her friends list on Facebook. And that was a freaky thing. A lot of us said, oh, he's already been dead for a long, so long. We heard that. But it might have been a confusion that he was sent to prison. He was sent to prison. Maybe a lot of people got that wrong and thought he meant he died. I don't know. That's a possibility. Something freaky is going on with time, though, and that's definitely what I want to talk to Barry, Barry about. Absolutely. Like a gong had rung. Ah, I knew I had to remember it. On the fly, I heard it was from the Mandela effect. Yeah. Girl gonna said, I want to be bothered at night when I'm trying to sleep by entities and spirits that occasionally appear. Well, the best thing for that while you're sleeping, a lot of times we are attacked spiritually in our sleep and our dreams. A good remedy for that is to have maybe some religious medal or a cross, anything that's been blessed over your bed, and have it hanging at the head of the bed on the wall at the head of your bed if you've got your bed situated that way. If not, you can hang it on the bed itself. You can also put sea salt around the bed, on the floor around the bed. Don't put it on the bed, it'd be hard to sleep with that. But you put it around the floor of the bed in a circle like around that. That keeps bad things out too. Iron is very good, supposedly, like a horseshoe or a nail, like I talked about. All nails are iron, by the way, unless they're aluminum nails. That's a different story. So get you a big nail and keep it in the room by the bedside on the net on the night table and all that. Those things supposedly also a mirror. Don't sleep with the mirror facing you, but have the mirror pointing out into the room. A little small mirror. I have one at my bed that points out into the room. It supposedly will keep evil spirits and things at bay. They don't like mirrors. Demons hate mirrors. They absolutely hate mirrors. I like mirrors, and for that reason. Demons hate them. There was no contest. Black tourmaline. Yeah, tourmaline is good, but that's good to wear. Actually, if you got a little bracelet of that or a ring or something, it's better to wear it against the skin, just like the tiger's eye. It's good to have against the skin. Oh, that's a good idea. I even sleep with my cross on. I don't ever take it off. Vampires hate mirrors too, yeah. For different reason though. I won't get into that one night. But actually, vampires not supposed to be able to see themselves in a mirror, and that's why they hate him. That's why they hate the mirror. They are facsimiles of human beings. They supposedly cast no reflection or shadow. They supposedly have no shadow either. But I don't know if you know that about vampires or not. But the vampires are not supposed to cast a shadow because they are not living beings. In other words, they are transitional beings. They're transient type things. They're not fully human. They're more spiritual. Ghosts do not have shadows, supposedly, because they are spirits. Vampires also cannot cross running water like spirits. And also because of the running water. Running water signifies washing away sins, purity, and all that. That's why you're supposed to be baptized in running water, by the way, and not just standing stagnant water. It's supposed to be in a river or water that's moving. That symbolizes the fact evil is getting washed away. But with spirit quality, it's all about spirit. Here it doesn't fetch me. I have lots of cusses in my tapestries. Well, I don't like to sleep in front of mirrors. Mirrors, especially crossed mirrors, supposedly open portals or give demonic entrance into our dimension. It's not ever good to cross mirrors. Never cross them. Point them away from each other. Supposedly, you can look at them all day long. You want to. Remember, don't forget Alice's story though. She went through the looking glass, so be careful about that. But it's not a good idea to cross them or manipulate them or mess around with them or paint them black and do scrying stuff with them. That's the big no-no. You got to be very careful with that stuff. 2 years, no, it's just the last couple of nights. Okay, well, Yeah, put a little iron around too. I'm a big believer in iron. That's all I should say. I can tell you some stories that make your hair curl. Oh yeah. Uh, we all have experienced that, I think, from time to time. Absolutely. It's Monkey writes your book. That's a great way to do that. Absolutely, Monkey, you need to write a book about it. I always say, you need to write these things down. These things need to be recorded for posterity. One day you won't be here, and we don't want your history to die with you. No, no history, no story, no matter what it is, should ever be lost to history. Okay? Write it down. Record it even. If you don't want to write it, record it. Leave a record behind of it for others to know. I recall an old story from a book of true vampire tales. A woman was vacationing in Greece, was walking to her hotel at night, past the ruins of an old graveyard. She heard a god awful screech. Oh yeah, that's the old passing the cemetery at night thing. And another thing is you never whistle at night. You'll only call up the devil. Never whistle at night. It froze her and she felt unnatural evil, terrifying. Yeah. Um, Demons and evil spirits love to hang around graveyards and places of the dead, battlefields, hospitals, places like that. They love places of the dead, morgues, cemeteries, crematoriums, whatever. Yeah. That's a big hangout for them, you know. That's what I've told a lot of people. I used to do classes out in cemeteries, teach people how to do paranormal investigations and stuff out there, how to hold the cameras, how to do every bit of it. And I used to have classes. Anyway, I had a lot of people come to classes, and I would tell them, you know, if you want the one place you really want to go meet a demon, you definitely would hang out in the graveyard because eventually, sooner or later, they'll turn up because they love graveyards and cemeteries. Absolutely. So then, seen hands take around the arms lifted in the air and carrying across a small stream. Other thing about vampires, they say you can like you can write grains of rice on the floor, and the vampires will stop to count every grain. They're supposed to be obsessive creatures, and they will stop and count every piece of straw or rice or grain of sand, whatever. They're supposed to sit there and count it all night. And if you give enough there, you'll prevent them from attacking you before the sun comes up. If you do that, that's another weird thing about vampires. Vampires are fascinating, and that's what we'll definitely be talking about them. Hopefully Friday night. Won't sit down and pops around her and they ran home, made said and saw a scream, she said late in life, she had a bad thing. But you know, a lot of people say, well, why cemeteries are supposed to be holy ground. Not necessarily. They're not blessed ground usually if it's just a cemetery. Churchyards, however, are supposed to be holy ground. Demons are not supposed to be very prevalent in churchyards because they are blessed, sanctified land. Supposedly, if you ran into a churchyard to get away from something like that, it should not be able to follow you into the churchyard. That's something good to know in case you get something chasing you on that. Head for a churchyard, okay? She thought where it was in that cemetery must have been true evil, and the angel that it carried. Probably it could have been that. Uh, I've got if you want to check my Facebook, I have a fantastically wonderful story about an angel on there. I've got the video and it's on my Facebook page. Okay, go check it out if you haven't seen it and check it out. It is a great angel story. Dinner with an Angel. Go check it out. Very interesting. I would like to be able to put it on here, but it's too long. You know, this StreamYard will not let you put only little clips on. It will not let you put a very long thing on. Nice with cinnamon on your property outside helps. Yeah, cinnamon, they don't like that. I like cinnamon. So let's see. They do make magic in cemeteries. Oh yeah, well yeah. A lot of that's carried. I've run into that on several occasions where actually there was a lot of shadow activity going on and stuff right next door to these cemeteries. It bleeds over, unfortunately. What goes on in your neighborhood can affect you. You never know. Well, we're coming up on the hour and a half mark here. And I want to appreciate you all showing up here and having an interesting conversation this evening. Let's see what we got here. Almighty Son. Hello, sorry for bothering you. I want to offer promotion of your channel, viewers, followers. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, uh, the interesting one coming up Friday night. We're going to get into Tales of Witchcraft. Okay, and I've got a book review, and I also got two movie reviews that are the same movie, actually, part one and part two. Okay, and the people of Australia are going to really like these movie reviews. Okay, Australia, definitely. You will like that if you're in Australia, okay? But anyway, you'll like it no matter where you're at because these are two really great movies I'm going to be talking about. So anyway, I appreciate you all being here tonight and connecting up with us and hunting some shadows tonight. And we'll look forward to Friday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, okay? I'm thinking about talking about, maybe I might do it Friday night. We'll see. Friday night, I may tell about another vampire case of mine, okay? This is one I've never told anyone about, and I may talk about it Friday night. So you might want to hang in there for that as well. And thank you, man. Good to have you here. I want to thank all of you tonight, and I appreciate you being here and connecting up with us. And until we get together again, remember, Veritas and Nikitas, that's truth and justice. Okay, that's what we want to stand for. Truth and justice. And Nas Aventus Quartus. That's another one of mine. That's another one of my mottos. That means we adventure forth. Okay? And yes, we do. And I want to appreciate you all being here. And until we get together again, via con Dios, and embrace the mystery. Hunting the shadows.